Guru Kripa Kevalam. Namaste and welcome everyone to Satsang today. Sadguru Shri Muji Baba ki Jai. You were saying the other day that most of the trouble is because of this notion of me and mine. But when we look, we see that all these perceptions, sensations are appearing. Actually, nothing divides something as me or mine. You see? Unless we apply the filter of the mind, the lens of the mind. Is it? So all these sensations are appearing. What makes this voice mine? I don't see it. Is it? This mouth is just speaking away. It could just be like another mouth speaking. So this idea that something divides me, you see, some sensations are me and some sensations are not me. You see? And we don't leave it even at that. We also make a third category, you see, which is that, okay, among the not me, there are some sensations that are mine. You see? And those also cause us a lot of trouble. You see, this is what we call attachments. You see? So a set of sensations is me, another set of sensations is mine, and there is a set of sensations which is not or mine. But in naked perception, in pure perception, these distinctions don't arise. Now for thousands of years, masters have told us that once you start making the distinction, then it opens the doorway to suffering. If you make the fundamental distinction of me, that itself is enough. That I am something. This set of sensations is me. I am this. Then if you take yourself to be limited in that way, then somewhere maybe your vastness calls out to you and says, but you must become bigger. So then you say, okay, what is the way to do that? I must desire this and I must desire that. That's the mind's version of becoming God. By becoming the owner of all that it can perceive, even as not me. And I said, I want this, I want that, I want this also, I want that also. You see? Because it's not happy with just this limited set of sensations. Okay, I will increase myself by having a lot of things which are mine. You see? But all of this trouble only started because you firstly labeled yourself as something limited. Do we see like this? Now, in itself, nothing is saying, except the mind. In itself, a perception of something is not saying me, or mine, or not me. As I keep saying, look around in this room, unlabeled, and tell me where the distinction is. And make no distinction, not just in the objects and space in the room, but also make no distinction between that which witnesses all of this and these perceptions. So don't even take a subtle position of witnessing. Is it? That which is just is. It doesn't need a position taking. Now I can guarantee you that our doubt is only coming from one place, which is the voice of our individuality, the voice of separation, which is saying, no, no, but what about when I'm not in satsang? Any random thing like that. But how do I keep this? But who will pay my bills? How will I run my life? Life is here now. How are you running it? Who's running it? How are you holding up your being, your existence? Not only don't you have to not run it, not only don't you have to not run, yes, but also, you see, you couldn't stop if you tried. Stop being. You just are. So the problem is that ludicrous. So the mind is a seller of non-existent problem. You see? And then it says, but solve it. You see, it convinces you that the non-existent problem is a problem, and then it says, but you must solve it. Have we really solved it? And satsang is the recognition that there is no problem actually. In truth, in the company of the truth, there is no problem. So nothing divides you, nothing separates you. And once you take on this fraudulent division, fake division, then life can have lots of make-believe problems. Once you put yourself in duality, then it is bound to feel like a constriction. Once you see that actually no duality, no opposites actually apply to me in reality, then even that statement is not needed. Whatever you think is a thing is not a thing. You're only thinking it is a thing. And I don't just mean like an objective thing. Whatever you think means something. It doesn't have that meaning. True meaning is so vast that it cannot be captured in your thinking. Reality is so broad that this tiny vessel of mind cannot reflect it. It sounds okay like this, but if you say it another way, which is that you have to stop being attached to your righteousness. Because in actuality there is no such distinction in reality between right and wrong. Now don't fall into the typical mind trap which will say, oh, but that means I can do all the wrong things and there's this. You see, this is still in the realm of opposite. So don't get attached to either side. Remain in your neutrality. Your intellect is just like a pendulum. It will only go from here to here. So if I say there is no such thing as truth that can be spoken, then our mind will say, but therefore everything is just a lie. Is it? Then you say, okay, if everything is just a lie, then what about this? Like we keep joking about this. You see? But between truth and lie, what is there? Is it? Between up and down, what is there? What is neither up nor down? What is neither truth nor lie? What is neither past or present or future? So if our intellect has to grasp something, let it grasp that it cannot be grasped by the intellect. That it can grasp. But what it really is, it cannot be grasped by the intellect. It is this Zen story which frustrated many of you for some time. Maybe it still does, I don't know. There was a antique vase, very expensive. One time, a small baby goose fell into it and got stuck in it because when it tried to fly out, then it was too big for it to escape the mouth of the vase, which was small. It fell down, but could not escape. Now, the people were very compassionate, so they kept feeding the goose. Didn't want it to die. Now there came a point where this goose had become so big that if they fed it anymore, it would die because it was too stuck in that thing. And the vase is a national treasure, so you can't break it. But the goose has to live. What will you do? Now, many times we try, and then we try it practically, thinking of it as a riddle and something, must be some catch. And then we try to also Advaita it away and say, but there is no goose and there is no vase. But it is not that. How does the goose escape? So if you were in a Zen monastery, then your master would give you a koan like this and say, till you solve it. That's all we talk about. And this till you solve it could be 10 years, 20 years, could be entire lifetime. No wonder then these Zen stories are quite violent at times. Master slap disciple, disciple slap master, because they must be just like, how does the goose escape? And you feel you have the right answer, you go to the master. Many times that only in Zen I've seen like this. See? Disciple kicks master. There's another brand of Zen called Korean Zen. All they do for many, many, many years is stare at a wall and ask, what is this? Not what is the wall, but what is this? So anytime you feel satsang is too frustrating or too oppressive, look at these things. What is the root of this frustration? Can we look and see? Can you see? What frustrates us? Huh? Ego. But okay, let's define some more. What do we mean? Expectation. And like in this case, like if you were given this Zen koan and the minute you figure it out, you are free. You see? Then frustration comes because you want the freedom and yet you are not able to figure it out. How would you frustrate yourself if you weren't trying anything at all? You can't. So, what would frustration then be? Like a failed attempt, or the sense of being a failed attempt. Like a mental conclusion that I'm just not getting it, or it's just not working, or why me, or something like that. Some notion like that has to be there. I've never seen a sparrow walking around frustrated. Yes. Yes.
Something came up like seeing that if there's desire, there's investment.
Yes.
And if there's investment, there is some belief that this thing can bring true happiness.
Yes.
And lasting peace and joy.
Yes.
So in the goose story that you just told, like if we drop the vase, the goose is free.
Or drop the vase?
Huh? No, I mean like
drop the concept of the vase.
Like if we stop like preserving bondage and preserving like value, but it's a treasure, you know. But something feels like I'm just putting like something feels like a treasure, you know. And if we stop preserving it, then there's freedom. Then he's free. Like
nice try, but no cigar.
But no.
You know what they say? It's American thing to say. Any American?
No.
No cigar. You know, that means nice try, but no, that's not dance.
Yes.
All I want to say was just now when I said you can't, when you asked this question. And there's a but arising which wants to again, you know, make a position like a, you know, like can't, but you know, you can't because first I didn't have to know that I don't have to look, and you know, the whole story can start again. I mean, you know, it's not coming from the right place.
It's a bit of an ouch to hear no. But I felt like this was very good. It is actually very good, but it's not it. And that's why we would struggle with this for Quite some time actually. Some would not. What is it we say? Tiger got to hunt, bird got to fly, man got to ask himself, why? Tiger got to sleep, bird got to land, man got to tell himself he understands. It's a very potent pointer actually. That's why we put it on the board. That's why we put it. What is this box of intellect that we speak of? The box of understanding, the box of knowledge that separates true and false, right and wrong, this way or that way. Where does it come from? Without making a reference to yourself, without making a false reference about yourself, let's go that far. Without making a false reference about yourself, is there a up or down? What is up? Without referring to yourself as an object in space. What is here? Now, if frustration comes, then we must see what is this frustration? What is the source of it? What is at the root of this? The Zen master said, we are reading what book, I don't remember, but they said that the most potent pointer is no. But don't even make that into a lifestyle. Don't become a knower. And finally, the Chinese or Japanese for no is mu. So in the Zen books, says the most potent pointer is mu. Nice. In India, we have in Vedanta, we have niti, not this, not this. The Zen master is saying no. The whole Ribu Gita is full of no. Bhagwan said, this is the most. If there was one book I would recommend for you for freedom, it is the Ribu Gita. Even if you don't understand, still read it. Is it? What is it? Full of no. Isn't it? Even to the extent of saying no guru, no disciple, no satsang. But it also says no opposites. No satsang. Oh, that means I can just go and party every day. No. And then you can say, like the vase is just made up. No. There is no goose. No. Oh, there's too much identification. You see? As identifying as two, vase and goose, they are one. No. If everything is negated, including all negations themselves, you see, including all opposites, what are you left with? frustration. You see? This is what you must check. If you negated both ends of the opposites, you see, are you left with frustration also? You see? Everything that we have thought is just a thought. I know it can sound like a very, very obvious thing to say. Is it? Everything that we have ever thought is just a thought. It has never been reality. Reality is just now. Before we can even say this is now. Oh, I have to be here now. Really, that is already too late. Before we can decide, but that's what I must do. I must stay in the now. Too late. Before there is a notion of now, or past, or present. Because even these are just thoughts. Now, past, present, just ideas. World, body, mind. Even being, not being. Nothing and nothing. All ideas. No idea represents reality. I say this every day, probably. And you don't need an idea because you are reality. It's also just an idea. Everything that starts with I must, I should, I must not, I should not, I did, I will, I won't. You have some more? I got it, I didn't get it. All made up. What is that thing? What is the thing? Horn of the hair. Can you read that for a bit? Huh?
Horn of the hair.
A horn of the hair. Some questions up there. I'll read a bit of this and then I'll take some questions which are there. Maybe some of you don't know about Ritu Gita, so I can read a bit of the introduction. It says here that, is there a book while reading which the reader feels increasingly drawn towards his own self, even if it is the very first spiritual book that he reads? The book which you are now holding in your hand is certainly one such. There is no greater testimony to the unique value of Ribhu Gita than the fact that Bhagwan Ramana himself told one of his little educated devotees, Sampurnama, it does not matter if you don't understand the book. Just go through it. It will be of immense benefit to you. Bhagwan would often say that the recitation of Ribhu Gita is as good as Samadhi, and would himself take part in the recitation. So let us read, chant and be absorbed in his grace. But also I want to say to you that while it is true that the words in themselves, the potency of the chanting, all of that in itself is very strong. But I also want to recommend to you that when you hear it, then hear it as you would hear, you are lost and you're hearing directions. You want to go to a place and somebody is telling you, this is where you especially don't go. So hear it that way, not just as some musical thing. So Ribhu is saying in chapter 8, which is page 145 of this volume, he says, I shall explain to you the hollowness of the world, which is akin to the horn of a hare. So let's explain this, because last time we went through this a few times, but basically hare, H-A-R-E, which is like a rabbit, you see? And what is has anyone seen a horn on a rabbit or a hare? You see? You looked it up on Google, you see? Google has everything now, you see? But for most of us, it's an illusory notion, just a made-up concept, isn't it? The horn of a hare. So this is what the sage is implying. I shall explain to you the hollowness of the world, which is akin to the horn of a hare. This is hard to attain in all worlds. Listen with an alert mind, okay? Whatever trace of this world one hears or one sees of it, the form that is seen and the form of seer are all like the horn of a hare. Whatever trace of this world one hears and one sees of it, the form that is seen and the form of seer are all like the horn of a hare. Okay? Earth, water, fire, air, space, mind, intellect, ego, and transcendental light are all like the horn of a hare. Destruction, birth, truth, the world, and heavenly systems, merit, sin, victory, and delusion are all like the horn of a hare. Lust, anger, greed, delusion, pride, delirium, infatuation, steadfastness, guru, disciple, teaching, and such are all like the horn of a hare. I, you, the world, etc., the beginning, the end, the middle, the past, the future, and the present are all like the horn of a hare. The gross body, the subtle body, the cause and the effect even, and what little of seen and seeing there is, all are like the horn of a hare. I've elaborated on these many times before, but some of these are really sweet in the sense that there's what little of seen and seeing there is. But our life has been so caught up in this, what he's calling what little of the seen. if we not had the phenomenal perception of all of these things, we never have become attachments, never have become all of this separation. Because whatever little is seen and seen, all like the horn of a hare. The enjoyer, the objects and the enjoyment, ideal and non-dual characteristics, tranquility, inquiry, happiness, are all like the horn of a hare. Ethical regulations, physical restraints, breath control, and discourses on such things, movement, motion, thoughts, are all like the horn of a hare. Eyes, ears, body, lineage, secrecy, inertia, Hari, Shiva, beginning, end, longing for emancipation, are all like the horn of a hare. Now, if you notice, sometimes the most highly valued spiritual concept sometimes comes just in the middle of something. No? For example, he said earlier, lust, anger, greed, delusion, pride, delirium, infatuation, steadfastness, and so far you could be like, yeah, you know. Then he said, guru, disciple, teaching, just in the same, no distinction, and all such. That is one sentence. Then you say, because you're used to spirituality, you would say, okay, ears, eyes, senses. You already started saying, okay, these are maya or illusory. So then he says, ears, eyes, body, lineage, secrecy, inertia, Hari, Shiva, beginning, end, longing for freedom, all are like the horn of a hare. All notions, all ideas, all concepts. And already we've had trouble in the sense of good trouble, where we can notice our attachment to some of these concepts and we say, okay, that, of course, but this also. It's good to look. It's good to look at what folks are buttons. The organs of knowledge, the five subtle senses, the group of organs of action, waking, dream, sleep, and relevant states are all like the horn of a hare. The 24 tattvas are like elements. The group of 4 spiritual practices, homologous and heterologous groups, are all like the horn of the hare. All of the worlds, all the beings, all cultures, those with true significance, all kinds of ignorance, and all types of learning, are all like the horn of a hare. All castes, all communities, all holy abodes and holy waters, all the Vedas and the Shastras are all like the horn of a hare. You see? Now the Vedas, the Vedanta is part of the Vedas, the end of the Vedas, that's what it's called. You see? So all this, it is self-negating also. You see? All types of bondage, all ways of liberation, all wisdom pertaining to the Lord, all periods of time, all instruction are all like the horn of a hare. All existence, all actions, all types of association with the wise, all duality, all perception of non-existence, all are like the horn of a hare. All Vedanta, all theories, all conclusions on the significance of Shastras, the nature of true existence of all beings, are all like the horn of a hare. Whatever little is comprehended, whatever world appears, whatever is heard from the Guru, are all like the horn of a hare. Whatever is thought of by the mind, whatever is willed any time, whatever is decided by the intellect, are all like the horn of a hare. Whatever is conveyed by speech, whatever meaningful talk is uttered, whatever is grasped by the sense organs, all are like the horn of a hare. Whatever object is renounced, whatever is heard or seen, one's own and others are all like the horn of a hair. Whatever shines on account of reality, identity, and essence, and whatever is imagined by the mind, are all like the horn of a hair. Whatever is determined as the self, whatever is said to be eternal, and whatever is investigated by the mind, are all like the horn of a hair. Shiva destroys ever, Vishnu protects the three worlds, and verily the Creator Brahma builds the worlds. All of these are like the horn of a hair. Whatever is said to be the soul, whatever speech uttered, and statements like this is life cycle, all these are like horn of a hair. Whatever is there in the Puranas, whatever is established in the Vedas, the truth of the entire Upanishads are all like the horn of a hair. Whatever told to you in this chapter is all but a horn of a hair. He who hears the secret himself becomes Brahman. Dear Father, pranam at your holy feet. Would you be kind to tell us about your sadhana and awakening? Was it a sudden click or a gradual process? Will I be? I don't know. I've shared a few times before. Let's see. This being okay, first we must say honestly, are we more interested in this than what we just heard? Then that is good. Because this is just Leela, you see, play. Whatever story happened with this one is not so important. Of course, there can be a question like that. I understand. I also used to have it. You see, with whoever master I had been with, I would always wonder. So, how does this happen for them? So, this kind of wonder is important, but to say that it must be like this for me, or this proves that it has not happened for me, or these kind of things. So you just hear this part more like a poem or some music, just enjoy it. Like if the first part was directions, if you're lost, you see? Even though that sounds like there were no directions provided. And this may sound very specific in terms of, okay, this was done, then this was done, then this was done. You see? But these are not directions because there is no template to this. You see? And in fact, if it happened one way here, then you know it is going to be unique. You see? Consciousness puts every fingerprint unique, every leaf unique, every snowflake. You see? So if anything, it must feel like, okay, here it will not happen this way. You see? Not that, oh, this must happen like this. Anyway, with all this disclaimer. So, most of this life before the age of 23 was spent as an atheist. I used to completely negate this notion of God and say, to the extent of saying that God is just a concept made by losers because they don't have faith in themselves, so they just like to blame some other power or something like that. Then at the age of 23, I got married and started a business in the same year. And quickly I went from being an atheist to I'll believe anything. So let's just say life changed drastically and things start happening. Which really, and also in a way that when your dreams come true, in a sense, you start to see the thermocol nature of them. You start to see the what you thought will give you so much joy and bliss. You see, like that you have a software company, be married to your college sweetheart. All these things, they happen, and after a while you feel like, oh, is that what life is? Is that the extent of it? So then whatever. So then something started looking for something deeper, more meaningful. The question started arising in a sense, what is my purpose? What am I doing here? So then I've called, so the first book I read, spiritual book I really read was Autobiography of a Yogi, which is funny because many say that, and I just feel like this is really cool stuff. I would want to have this stuff. I can be at two places at the same time, and I can have all these yogic siddhis and prana shakti and all of these things. So this sounds really cool. This is what I really want. Whatever I've been doing so far. So I started like that with that very selfish intent to have to be free from suffering, but also to have some of this good stuff. It sounded pretty good actually. And then should I really have this full detailed version? Maybe we can go through a shorter. So anyway, so then I felt like Sri Paramahansa Yogananda is my final master, and I'm going to be devoted to him for the rest of this life, and I've said that a few times. Anyway, so that all that happened, and somehow that led me to the art of living, because very beautifully, in a very serendipitous sort of way, there was Sri Ravi Shankar, and if there was Kriya Yoga in Self-Realization Fellowship, there was Sudarshan Kriya in Art of Living. So I felt like, okay, that is God telling me, something. So there was a Sri here, there was a Sri there. And there was Kriya Yoga and Sudarshan Kriya, so this could be a good idea, So then I went to the Art of Living, and I have to say that although we don't speak about any yoga, pranayama, any of these things now, I have to say that it was very helpful, or it at least seemed very helpful in the journey of this one. To I've done all those kriyas, I've done all those things, and maybe for the first time truly experienced some peace and stillness. You see? It was very helpful in a way. You see? So there's full gratitude to whoever I'm mentioning here. I have to say that I have full gratitude for all the masters that I've been with. So anyway, so I went to Art of Living, and then something happened where I found that this one had started parroting every word or a lot of the words that he'd heard from his master. So when people already had started coming to him and saying, okay, I want your advice on this, and I want your what's your feeling on this, and I would share with them. You see? And I feel like because uh, we've done a lot of classes on various scriptures and things like that. So anyway, I was already in a way sharing and things like this. And people would come and say, oh, something about you, man, there's something, like this kind of thing. And maybe it was getting to me, this spiritual ego was building up. Not maybe, very clearly, very clearly, you see. And then what happened is that some big trouble started happening in my business and things like that, some partnership battles and these kind of things. And I found that I was really suffering. You see? And thankfully this sense came to me that, oh, if you really know all this stuff, you can recite a lot of verses from scriptures and you can give a lot of advice to people, but how come you're suffering with this? And so with that suffering came another sort of questioning. There came this like, but who am I? You see? Who am I? This bug really caught me at that time. Who am I? You see? And then, of course, I read and heard about Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharishi, and somebody would have told me about Nisargadatta Maharaj. And so what happened is that I stopped going so much to Satsang and the Art of Living and things like that, because the expression started to seem a little different from what was truly burning for me right now. You see? It was just, what is this? You see? Who am I? What's going on? You see? This kind of thing. So, and somehow there was a loss of interest in the practices, and I was never very good at them anyway also. Although they benefited a lot, I was not so consistent, very regular, and many times I would feel very guilty. Like if on some days things were not going well at work, you see, or I had a fight with my wife or something like that, I would say, see, now today you did not do your kriya. That's why they say you must do your kriya every day. Like this kind of guilt and unworthiness was also being picked up from time to time. So somehow then the practices started to fall away, and I stopped going to so much to the ashram here and things like that. And these two books I came across. One was Be As You Are, the one that we are reading now, and I Am That, Nisargadatta Maharaj. And these books were really speaking to me. They were really speaking to me at that point. You feel like this is what I really wanted to immerse myself in. And then what happened is that I started looking for living disciples of Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharishi and Nisargadatta Maharaj. You see, I feel like I need to go to them and get my questions answered and just be with them. So I found, that's how I found Ramesh Balsekar. And I went to Ramesh for a few years, and again, very beautiful time. And we don't really need to get into why I moved away from there, but and I have to say, for a few years I did feel a bit resentful towards him, but over the past couple of years, even that resentment has been replaced by gratitude, because for whatever might have been, it was a beautiful time that I got to spend with him. And so a lot of gratitude here for Ramesh as well. I spent a few years, every time I would just make excuses to go to Mumbai actually, just like find some business reason, some work reason and things like that. And then so beautifully what happened is that my wife's, where I used to stay, my wife's relatives, they were just 2 minutes walk from Kamadia Road, where Ramesh's house is. So, again, very beautiful time. But when I moved away from Ramesh, there was this sense that I don't want master anymore. Really, for a few years, I feel like it was like that. That I don't want a master anymore, and I'm done with this guru business and things like that. Then what happened is that maybe I was just watching. I was watching a lot of Papaji videos and things like this, and somehow there was like in the related videos, then Guruji's videos would come, but somehow something was resisting. Like we Indians, this is Vedanta. Why we have to hear a foreigner or something. It's kind of stupid nonsense ideas, which was still obviously there. So then some resistance, but then it was so persistent YouTube, thankfully, that it kept saying related video something. And once I clicked, and I was just so hooked. And those days maybe there were 40 or 50 videos or something of Guruji online. So I watched all of them, but still this now resistance was there that I don't want any master, I don't want Guru. It's funny that I say that actually, but also now just a few weeks ago, I noticed that in those days before I met Guruji in person, I'd sent a mail that I'm feeling a bit lost. I feel like I need a master. Can you recommend somebody who's in India and living? And you would say, he would say that the only one I would recommend. He replied thankfully, very kindly, that the only one I would recommend is Lakshmana Swami, who's an old man now. He lives in Tiruvannamalai and things like this. But he's a recluse and he doesn't see anyone. So I said, okay, then how am I supposed to, meet him and have this? He said, no, I'm sorry, but he doesn't speak to anyone like this. So then I was like, is there somebody else you can recommend? So although there was this resistance to having master, something was also feeling desperate at the same time, saying, who can I meet? Then he said, I'm sorry, I really can't recommend anybody else. So what happened eventually is that I went to see Guruji and Thiru. He was in Tiruvannamalai, and also I went I felt like a spiritual tourist. Like when you go to Tiruvannamalai, like spiritual tourists will go here, will go there, will do this, will do that, like this. And there was no intention that I will meet Guruji and he'll become my master or something like that. I just felt like he's really good. He answers with so much clarity. I love his videos. He seemed like such a nice guy. All of this. So that's how I went. So then I got there, and when I got to Thiru, I couldn't find this place because I was used to like big thing, art of living, and in videos it seemed like much bigger than what it was in those days. So I just expected to land up in this small town and just ask for, where is Mujiji Satsang, and then people will know. But nobody knew. So I looked around for about 45 minutes, 1 hour. I got late. And okay, now I'm just sharing the humorous aspects of this also. So then what happened is that I carried this bag because I was going to be in Thiru for a week or something. So I carried this bag and I was climbing up the stairs, and I saw Satya Devi just at the edge of the hall, and she gave me this look like, what are you doing? The hall is completely packed and you expect to carry your bag inside, and you're, no chance, no chance. Like the hall is full. He was very kind, of course, but for me she felt like a gatekeeper at that point of time. So she said, this was January 2009. So she said to me, no, we made some arrangement for those who are late, and you can sit and watch. They put, even those days, so beautifully organized, you have to say. They put a small TV screen downstairs and live, just a small hall and everything, but so good. So live feed was coming from the terrace upstairs to this downstairs place where they had some mats, and few of us who were late or didn't want to be in the crowded hall, they were just sitting down and we were watching. And this satsang was very different from anything I'd seen on YouTube. It was just full on chop, 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 chop. Somebody came to him and he's like, this is pure arrogance of personhood and things like that. Now that video is there, by the way. And they put that video up. It's very beautiful, very, very strong. So he was just chopping left, right, center. Something here was like, okay, now this is very different. This is not what I came for. So run, run, run. Like, so anyway, it was beside the chopping and things. It was fine. So I stayed, and then what happened is satsang got over, and then I felt like everybody leave from the satsang hall. Or maybe somebody told me that you can see him from there. He'll be coming down the stairs from the terrace to the ground floor where we were. So then I remember looking up and seeing this man walking down from the stairs, and something just fell. And I was just looking at him and feeling so much. Like, you can't even call it love, but love would be maybe the closest description, Just, so I was like, something just felt like all of this deciding on who's your master, who's not, all of this is pure nonsense. And I've come home, Now I just felt like whatever it is his problem now. So naturally something unfolded like this, where I just saw him and I felt much more than in love or something that you could say. And then I went to him, I touched his feet. He was very, very sweet, of course, and he said, give me a hug maybe, and he said, you've come. But I had this like Indian conditioning, which is also very sweet in a way. They don't take too much of his time. If you meet the people in Rishikesh, you see that they just come, quickly touch, go. There's no like, oh, my name is this and this is, I've been following you for so long. It's just like, maybe because we have so much population, so we realize there's no real time for chit chat anyway. You see, so this was what I just wanted, his blessing, to have a hug and then just give him the space, like that. But something felt like very much at ease, at peace. So much of the burden had already, I felt, starting to fall off. And then I don't know what happened in the next day. Maybe I went and sat outside the gate of Lakshmana Swami. Maybe something happened, some other satsang. I don't know. I can't remember much of it. All I remember next is that I put up my hand and I'm on the hot seat, and I'm saying, you have to help me with the first question because I don't know what to ask. But I was looking into his eye, and something was feeling very, very still, very like this thing which is so apparent and always has been, was becoming clearly apparent. So it became very quiet and thing, but outwardly still some interaction was happening, but there was no sense of I am interacting or I am saying or I have to do this. It was going on, and then that silly whatever tying laughter thing happened a little bit, and that was it. That was the hot seat moment in a way. Now I don't want to really call it something. We don't have to label it as something, is it? It was just how it unfolded in His grace, in His presence, and for many months I just felt like I just wanted to sit around, not do much work. There was not a like aversion, but there was not so much drive coming to do this and do that, because before that I had a very active work life also. So for a few months it became very dormant, backseat. Family started wondering, what is wrong with you? Are you depressed? You see? And I was just like, no, but I'm very happy. You see, like this common thing we hear. What happened? You see? I'm sure it happens to many of you also at home. Some days you're feeling a lot of just joy. You just want to sit and people come to you and say, what happened? Are you depressed? Why are you not talking? This kind of thing can happen. So like this, and then very calm, very peaceful mostly. Family started getting worried, so I wrote to Guruji and said, this is, I find myself very happy, but I'm not feeling too much interest in work and things, and family is getting very worried about that. So he said it's natural. It unfolds like this, and if there's energy for work, it has to come, it will come, otherwise it's okay. This, he said, like he usually says, is never, can never be harmful for anyone. And this grace is always beneficial for you and all those around you as well, whether they realize it or not yet. So, so like this, it started unfolding. Something became lighter and lighter, opener and opener, emptier and emptier. So, and there was no sense of ever wanting to share again, because I'd shared in the past, but I realized that there can be still, you could be just be um, parroting what the masters are saying without any, um, authenticity. So there was not the sense that the sharing of satsang will happen from here. And for 3 or 4 years, there was no actual sharing. Sometimes, because I work with Amrinder closely, some of you know him. So then we would be talking about this and things like that. So we would have some conversations about spirituality. Sometimes at work, I'd just go and trouble people just for the fun of it and say, how you know this is not a dream, or something like that. But that was the extent of it, and not much. Then what happened is, okay, let me wrap up quickly the story part. So, is that we wanted to start in the Bangalore Sangha some video satsang, DVD satsang with Guruji. So you would come and you would watch once a fortnight or something. And then what started happening is that these people would come and then they would start, some of them, these young kids who met sometimes, they would come and they would say, but what about this? After the DVD got over, we would just sit and be chatting, but somehow they felt like they could ask me something. So they would ask, and I would surprisingly find like an answer emerging from him. I would feel like, I have to be honest and say, it felt like a good answer. It just felt like, oh, this is good stuff. And but there was also this kind of vigilance about it, and say, okay, now this is the master's grace speaking through you. This is, you are enjoying the hearing of it as much as everyone else is, but don't let it become a thing or something like that. So I just kept quiet about it. And then one time, one man came, boy, he came and said to me, Saturdays we would have this satsang. So he came on Sunday and said, I want you to do to me what you did yesterday. I was just like, what are you talking about? It's all my master's grace and things like that. But he was like, no, insistent, can I still come and spend some time with you? So then I said, okay, you can come and sit. We sat, this part was actually an office here. So we came and sat in my office for a bit. And then he went away, but something here was not feeling very comfortable with what happened. So I wrote to Guruji and said, this is how it is unfolding, and what is your feeling about this, and just tell me what your sense is. So he said that you have my full blessings to bring more and more to this one Sangha of being. So, and then around the same time, he had also directed, I was saying the other day, somebody who was in Chhattisgarh or those parts to come to me. He said, because he was not able to come to India that year, and this boy said he's desperate to be in satsang. And so Guruji directed him to me, saying, my son is there, my disciple is there in Bangalore, go and meet him, he will help you. So that's how the sharing of satsang actually happened about 5.5 years ago. And then we would have satsang once a fortnight. But then what started happening was I started getting so many questions. So I was answering questions on Facebook, on WhatsApp, we were sometimes having satsang on WhatsApp. Some of them had created a WhatsApp group. So sometimes we were just doing WhatsApp satsangs. Then I felt like, this is all my time was going on replying. So I said, let's not do this. Let's gather for 1 hour every day. And in that gathering online, it was never meant to be like this. Just we'll meet online every day. We will have Ustream, and whatever questions are there, just put them out. I will answer, and then the rest of the day I can do my work and whatever is to be done. then what happened is that sometimes some would come, like the locals would come sometimes and say we would have on my dining table in that part of the house, we would have satsang. And then one said she wanted to come from Spain, and I'd never seen her in Ustream, nothing. She said, I've been watching his satsang every day, and I want to come and be with him for 6 months. You see? And she wanted to fly to India specifically for this. And I just felt like, okay, is this really what's going on now? Is this how it's going to unfold? So I told her, or somebody was interacting with her, I told them to tell her that, yes, you're welcome to come, but we'll take it week by week and we see how it goes, okay? Because I never heard a question from her. I didn't know what she was really after, in a sense. So anyway, she came and she spent 6 months in satsang, and satsang those days were very, so you would start, then I would come, then I would say namaste, and I think Gopala, you started coming by then? With Jaya's time?
Yes,
at the end of
Jaya was leading.
when she was about.
Next day,
Yeah. So, so we would just sit at the dining table, I would come, and then satsang would get over, I would say thank you, and bye. There was no sitting around after that. And Radha also came before that. Before Jaya or?
Yeah. So when she landed, he was just shocked. I don't think he even knew she was coming.
No, we had a sense, but we didn't know which date or something. You know, this is how she moves. She just like comes, goes. She's yeah. So yeah, she's like that. So this Jaya is, by the way, not the Sahaja team Jaya. That's a different Jaya. They started coming. All these people started coming before that. So. Like that, and then anyway, so here we are. About 4.5, 5 years. So your question was about the sadhana and awakening. I hope you got a sense of it. Another question. Dear Father, second question, please. Though there is no duality, but what would you advise when one encounters a tricky situation? Someone trying to insult or abuse or trying to kill the body. Okay. Now, if somebody tries to, shall we take that morbid example? No, let's leave that. So, there's a very simple and yet supreme intelligence that runs this life, that runs this whole projection, this whole universe, that knows how to play all roles, all relationships. Also, okay, so good to tell you this also, is that, so what happened after a few months of meeting Guruji is that the life force started coming back towards work and things like this also. So family responsibilities, householder life, work life, that still continues. You see, I'm not saying it has to continue for everyone. It will move in various ways. But here, the life energy, life force came back and started directing this body towards work, to taking care of the family, to being a householder. All that continued to unfold here. But this sense of I have to do, or I have to balance, and I have to be this way also, or I have to be a householder, you see, that was not there. This attempt to try and balance it out or try to do it in a certain way, you see, people always talk about, in the corporate world, they always speak about trying to maintain a work-life balance. But for me, this distinction between work and life fell away. I saw that work is as much part of life as anything else. It comes, it goes. You don't even have to make this kind of thing, because the minute you start to try and balance, the balance seems to get a bit, at least here it happened that way. Every time in the past I had tried to balance my art of living days with work and things like that, then I would find that everything was very unbalanced. Now I gave up on the notion of balance and something still seems very balanced in a way. So I'm not trying to balance anything. You see. It goes somewhere. So there's no sense of trying to achieve a balance or trying to have this much to worldly life, this much to spiritual life. You see, for me, it is just, I can say it is just life, but even that, it is like, even this notion is not needed. It is just life, you see. So it just flows, you see. Sometimes work phone call comes, sometimes some other message comes, sometimes satsang comes, sometimes okay. So the same intelligence that has always been running life, you see, it does not go away. And in fact, it was never reliant on our sense of individual doership. You see? So your question actually is the variation of that question, which is, so if I give up my sense of doership, individuality, you see, then how is this life going to run? Or how will I deal with situation in life? You see? So that's why I'm saying more and more these days that surrender is not really a doing, but a recognition of what already is. You see? The same one that has been running this life continues to run this life. If you want to give that credence to the notion of one running this life, then it is that one consciousness. You see? And what has happened is not something has changed, but something is seen. And that seeing brings a lot of spaciousness, brings a lot of openness. Because that delusion of trying to control falls away. So then we are not meeting every moment with the prejudice of what am I supposed to do, how am I supposed to deal with it, how am I supposed to handle it. But you're just allowing this to unfold. And then you will quickly see that this is all so made up. The idea that there is a separate me speaking these words, see, and a separate you hearing them, see, it is unfounded. Literally, it is not found. That is why it is unfounded, because never found. So, simple way to say it is that the one who runs this universe can also pay your bills and deal with situations. You don't have to take a active or passive position. Sometimes when we hear about non-doership, we can say that I have to put myself in a passive, vegetative sort of position. You see, but that is as much a position of doership, because you are now doing the not doing. You see, or trying to do the not doing. Still taking the position, I am not the doer, I am not the doer. You see, like this kind of thing. But that is also a limited position. Neither doership nor non-doership actually applies to the reality of you. These are just mental positions that we take, and we think that they contain some truth. And some provisionally you might hear in satsang also, but just provisionally. To take you away from the attachment to a particular position, a new position may be offered, but all masters will get you to negate that as well. You see? They will not say that some position is the reality or finality. Please take away my arrogance of knowing something and being something. I don't know whether I really mean what I am asking for. There seems a fear of losing the world when such a prayer is observed. Intensity of love and joy is more than fear. You see? Now, this is a very beautiful prayer that you make. But even this struggle you don't have to make. You see? Even this struggle is dependent on you knowing something. So even when we say it's a beautiful thing, of course, but just pointing out that even to say that rid me of my knowing because I know something, you see, is dependent on your knowing that you know something, or you know that you want to get to a not knowing. You see? So I will, of course, full blessing to this prayer, but don't make a house in this prayer. You see? Don't make your house in this prayer. Make a house where there's nothing that you can conclude this way or that way. You see? Then the, of course, idea of making a house is also gone. But you have a sense of what I'm saying. Then you say, I know that you are always revealing yourself in my heart. Please carry on. This is all the permission I need, actually. When you say please carry on, whether it is feeling choppy or it is feeling blissful, because in this outward seeming play, it can seem this way that the conditions got picked up over a period of time. So the deconstruction of these conditions also seems to play out over a period of time. But you don't hang on to that notion that, okay, it's going to happen, I'm going to mature over a period of time. You be empty now. Is it? Let me take care of that which is time based, if there is something like that. Because if you give yourself that notion, then you're still making yourself an object in time. Thank you all so much for being in Satsang today. Sadhguru Shri Muji Baba ki
Jai. Sadhguru Shri Ananta-Part ki Jai.
Guru Kripa Kevalam.